Get the latest Zacks research, analysis, and rankings on exchange-traded funds in Exploring ETFs. All right, normally we talk about ETFs with our ETF research director, Nina Mishra, but this time around we're going to talk about ETNs, which are exchange-traded notes that track an index that tracks master limited partnerships performance. Nina, help me out here. It sounds complicated.
Okay, let's begin with why investing in MLPs is beneficial.
Okay.
So MLPs, normally they transport and process oil and natural gas and other energy commodities, and they work under long-term contracts. And because of long-term contracts, their cash flows are rather stable and predictable. And because of the ongoing energy boom, their long-term growth outlook also looks good. And they have been very popular with investors in the past few years because of the attractive yields, especially in this ultra-low interest rate environment. So in addition to attractive yields, they have this growth potential and stable cash flows, and they also have low correlations with many other asset classes, including equities. So they provide diversification benefits to the portfolio. And like many other high-yielding asset classes, they are sensitive to interest rate rise, at least initially, and that's what happened last year too when the taper talk started. But over long term, there is no material correlation between the performance of MLPs and interest rate rises. And that's mainly because many of them have fixed rate borrowings. So I think the outlook looks pretty good as of now, and it makes sense for investors to invest in MLPs.
Oh, but let's get back to the one of the issues around MLPs is they come with some tax issues that investors need to be aware of.
Right. Investors, many investors avoid investing in MLPs because of the complicated tax issues. They are required to issue K1 forms, which I understand are not easy to deal with. Further, if the pipeline passes through many states, then they'll have to do the paperwork for all those states. Thankfully for investors, some of the exchange-traded products, including funds, exchange-traded funds, which are ETFs, and exchange-traded notes, which are ETNs, they can avoid some of these tax complications because they issue Form 1099. They are not required to issue Form K1, and 1099s are easier to handle. But again, there is some problem with ETFs if you hold MLPs in fund form. What happens, the ETFs holding investing more than 25% of their assets in MLPs are treated as C Corps for tax purposes.
I see.
And so their assets are required to be marked to market, and some deferred tax liabilities are required to be recorded. And that is why these funds have significant tracking differences with their index. So normally I recommend ETFs over ETNs, but this is one of the asset classes where ETNs, exchange-traded notes, are more beneficial, at least from the tax point of view. Because ETNs, they are just like debt securities. They track an index. They promise to pay the return of their index. So they are free from many of these tax issues. But at least still being debt securities, they come with some credit risk of the issuer. And I'm not saying that JP Morgan or UBS are going to fail anytime soon, but at least but still the credit risk is not zero. There is some credit risk with the notes.
All right, and you mentioned those two firms because they are the in the examples that you have brought with you here. So the first one of these ETNs is the JP Morgan Alerian MLP Index, ETN.
Yes. Yeah,
Boy, could that name get any longer?
The ticker is AMJ, and this is the most popular, one of the most popular exchange-traded product in this space. It has more than 6 billion in assets, charges an expense ratio of 85 basis points, it tracks the performance about 50 MLPs and has an attractive yield of 4.6%.
I guess if you're the most popular, you can have as long a name as you want, right?
Yeah, and one more thing I would like to mention about this particular note, they stopped issuing new notes in 2012. So that is why there are sometimes these notes, they trade at a premium to their NAVs. Right now they are not, but while investing, investors need to make sure that notes are not trading at a premium to their NAVs.
Okay, and then there's the UBS E-Trax,
Yeah,
Alarian, MLP, Infrastructure, ETN.
That's no shorter. The ticker is MLPI. It tracks the performance of infrastructure midstream MLPs, about 25 infrastructure midstream MLPs. This also has an expense ratio of 85 basis points. And this is relatively newer. I think it was launched in 2010, but still it has become very popular, already has more than 1.9 billion in assets. And this also pays an attractive yield of 4.4%.
All right, own either one?
No, I don't.
Okay. So if you go to the ETF section of Zacks.com, if you're not on the website already watching this video, you will get access to other ETN education and ETF commentary. And you can link to that section right off the homepage at Zacks.com. With Nina, I'm Terry Ruffalo.